Journey with Judy. Honest, open, transparent. It's hot.
There's no such thing as perfect people. There's no such thing as a perfect life. So come as you are, broken and scarred. Lift up your heart and be amazed and be changed by a perfect God.
Good morning. Thank you for choosing to journey with Judy right here on Lake 96.1. And I'm so excited that I'm not even crying. I did cry during our prayer, though. Dave is always a testimony to the fact that I cry. But I'm a little bit less hateful this week. And I'm a little bit more grateful. I'd like to lie and tell you that I'm good or fine, but we know that fine stands for feelings inside never expressed. Or what's the other thing fine stands for? Frustrated, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. So here I am, your host of Journey with Judy, telling you I'm fine. I am so fine. So thanks for your prayers. Thanks for your messages regarding last week's show and this trial that my family's going through. I am convinced that it is your prayer that has allowed me to move just a little, maybe about an inch from hateful to grateful. So keep praying for me and my family, and I'll keep praying for you. It's been a great week. It's been a great week in terms of weather. Dave, there's something about the weather. When there's some good weather, it makes you just want to get out and do something, or at least sit on the couch and talk about how you really should be getting out and doing something. And it's been such a busy week, like with school and sports, and in our family, we had these homecoming events. And by Saturday night, I was like spent, Dave. We had no kids in the house. My man was looking at me like, what are we going to do? What could we do? What should we do? What would we do if we were even remotely motivated? And the fact was, at about 7 p.m., I was sleeping. And here's the deal. You can never get horizontal if you're Judy Hehr, because I have 2 speeds, off and wide open. So when I go down, I'm done. I'm totally done. And so I said to my man, I feel like I'm doing the heroin knot. I mean, I'm not even listening to what you're saying. I can't even watch the TV. The heroin knot is what we call it at our house. Gee, why? But anyway, so my man said, well, why don't you just close your eyes for a few minutes and then we'll get up and go do something awesome. Okay, well, at about 11 p.m., he was like, hello, will you be waking up anytime soon? And so the deal is I have just been so mindful of the fact that I am so tired. And Dave, I don't know if it's just because I'm old. I can tell you that my man and I wake up every morning like we're like paralyzed. We can barely get out of bed. You get out of bed like we're 150 years old. And it's different, Dave, when you're 50 than when you're 20. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's like I'm old. My kids say, Mom, you're old, you're saggy, you're crabby, you're flabby. Like, what's the deal? And I'm noticing how old I got when we're taking pictures. We're taking these homecoming pictures, and when I look at my phone, the first thing I do is expand it just to my face before I decide if it's a good picture. I don't even care if anybody else is in it. And so then I was just actually heading to Target after this show this morning to cut out some of me in some of the pictures. My man and I are like, when did we get so old? And the other worst thing is when you're taking a picture and it turns to your phone turns and the camera's looking at you. It's like, oh my gosh, when did I turn into my sister? She's 15 years older than me. She's in my phone. She's in my phone and she won't get out. But here's the gig. I'm just so tired all the time. Yesterday, I was at a meeting with some people that I love, like they're my life-giving spiritual companions. And I was so looking forward to seeing them. And as I was sitting across the table, listening intently to them sharing like where they're at their journey, I was doing the heroin knot again. Like I was, you know how you're yawning and you're trying to cover your mouth so nobody knows you're yawning. Everybody knows you're nodding. Everybody knows you're yawning when you're talking to them. So it's like, I don't even know what's going on, but I am tired all the time. So then it dawned on me, thanks to your prayers in the last week, God revealed to me while I was preparing for this show, and now I know what's going on. I'm going to share it with you when we get back after the break. You are journeying with Judy right here on Lake 96.1.
Hello, sunshine, come
All right, so it's definitely a good morning compared to last Sunday morning when we were journeying together, because I was just this broken, such a broken person. And, God is slowly putting the pieces back together, and he's allowing me to see things through his eyes from a more loving perspective. And so I really dig that. But what I learned in the last, since August 21st, I think I mentioned in last week's show that I was just renewed with strength and energy when I sat by my daughter's bedside back in January when she was in this life-threatening car accident. And this trial that my family's been going through for the last 30 or 40 days, it's been so exhausting, and I feel like I'm drawn from an empty well. And if it wasn't for this show, and it wasn't for the people that I get to journey in faith with calling me out on being a life sucker, I would just continue in this vortex of life sucking until there was no more life left in any place that I entered. And I don't want to be that person. I want to be honest, open, and transparent and just tell you that this week is better than last week, but it's only a little bit better. And here's why I'm so tired, guys. I'm so tired because a day of worry is more exhausting than a week of work. And like my kids say, Mom, you have no job. Like, you drive around and talk about Jesus. That doesn't even count. It so counts. It so counts to drive around and talk about Jesus, because people are like, already have a cross waiting for you with nails on it, and they want to nail you on it. But that's besides the point. The deal is, everybody at some time or another in our lives, we've had something that has been so overwhelming that, like, maybe you couldn't even sleep. It was so overwhelming. It became something that you became so preoccupied with. It's paralyzed. You just keep talking and talking and talking. And I'm wondering if we're praying about it as much as we're talking about it. See, it's that issue that dominates every day and every thought. And if that's happened to you, then you've experienced this thing called worry or anxiety. See, worry and anxiety is totally different from concern and excitement. See, worry and anxiety, it's debilitating. It's consuming. And when you're concerned about something and you're excited about something, that's different. Like, you're preparing and you're anticipating, and that's like a really, really good thing. And it's not only me and my family that have been worrying, because Chuck Swindoll says worry is the universal addiction. See, if you ask people what they worry about, I did this little survey in my house. Whenever I'm going to do a show, I say to my kids, hey, this is what I'm talking about. Give me some insight. And so I said to Campbell this morning, Cam, do you think I worry a lot? And she goes, yeah. And I said, well, like, what do I worry about? And she goes, everything. Like, what don't you worry about? And then I said to my man, baby, do I worry? And he goes, about everything and anything and nothing that matters. Okay. Then I said to my son, Chandler, Chan, do I worry? It was just an emphatic yes. And here's the deal. I've said this before. Whenever my kids or I walk in a room having, when they come home from school or they come home from wherever they were, the first thing, or even when I pick them up from school, the first thing they say when they look at me is, what's wrong? I guess I have this permanent. The other day, my man was sitting on the couch and I was staring at him. He goes, why are you staring at me? I said, baby, you got like a really bad look on your face. And he goes, it's my permanent frown. It is so our permanent frown. And we're supposed to be turning our frown upside down. And it takes more muscles to frown than it does smile. Hence why I have so many wrinkles in the last couple years. But I'm getting so old, spending all this time worrying about stuff I can't control. Because 75% of the things we worry about are either present, or we believe they're present, or they're in the future. And here's the thing. Most people worry, Dave, between 9 p.m. and 3 a.m. Okay, isn't that crazy? So, like, you really can't sleep. So here's the definition of worry. It's a mental health problem. It's a daily obsession. It's an uncontrollable process driven by trying to resolve all the potential certainties of life. It's like saying, hey, I got this, God. I got this. You best get out of the way and I can take care of this. When the reality is God is saying to us, I got this. And I got this in a way that you can't even believe. If you would just stop, sit, and listen and trust. I'm going to make things all work out for good. See, this thing about worrying, it's a cognitive process in which an individual like me or you or all of us, because it's a universal addiction, some of us more than others. I'm over the top in everything, and my worrying certainly is, no exception. But it's when an individual becomes overly concerned with the future. And then they take what they think the future is going to be and they overestimate it and exaggerate it to such a degree that it's debilitating. I don't know how that benefits me in any way, shape, or form. I know that we live in the two places we can't change, the past and the future. And if we spend our time praying about stuff as much as we spend our time talking about stuff, I'm telling you, our lives would be different. And I hate, and Dave, admit it, you hate it too, when people say, don't worry. Don't worry. Okay, well, let's see you not worry. And you show me how to not worry, and then I'll tell you that I don't have to worry. But they definitely don't understand that the thing you're worrying about is definitely the thing that deserves all of this negative energy. It's definitely the one thing that you will be able to control. And we become so delusional about the fact that our worry is warranted. And see, when we're worrying, we make God so small, not only in his person, but in his character. And in his ability to do things that we're thinking we could do. See, worry is, Jesus says, don't worry about your life in some of the scriptures. He's saying, my dad knows what you need. He's got this. And if you seek him first, you're going to see things in a different way. Because when we're worrying, we got some stinking thinking. There is no problem, no circumstance, no situation that can't be brought to God that he can't do something about. See, we're not victorious on a daily basis because we're expending all of this energy on what we can't control. Worrying is like a rocking chair. It gives you something to do, but it gets you nowhere. I'm totally digging that. But better than the rocking chair quote would be God's antidote for this anxiety. So we're going to get us some AA when we get back. You are Journeying with Judy right here on Lake 96.1. And thank you to the Cunis Country Auto Group for sponsoring Journey with Judy.
I've got no need to worry. I've got no room for doubt. No matter what's coming at me, you'll always be the beautiful I sing about. There ain't no limitations to your amazing grace. Your amazing grace.
All right, so Jamie Grace reminds us it's a beautiful day. That's the name of that song. And it is a beautiful day when we're turning our burdens over to the one who can bear them in a way that we can't. See, Dave is not the only two people who worry. It is a universal addiction. And we need to get some AA, an antidote for that anxiety. See, we worry, like I Googled a bunch of stuff. What do we worry about? What do people worry about in general? And there's 5 things it says. You worry about other people's problems. You worry about how to pay your bills. You worry about losing your job. Worry about the future. Or you worry about how to please somebody else. The other thing I looked up is how teens worry, especially because of what's going on in my kids' lives. What's the top thing the kids worry about? And it just confirmed my concerns about how my kids will process what they're going through, because your teenagers, they worry most about 3 things: about their school, about their peers, and about their friends. And when it comes to school, it's obvious they're worried about their grades and how to study and how to be successful on their tests. But when it comes to their peers, they're worried about measuring up to them and measuring up for them. And then it says, I quote, friends are their entire world. They're the reason that they exist. So you got to be praying for godly people to come in the lives of your children. Because when they're not godly, they do great damage, and then you are trying to undo what's been done. Best to be proactive. Not best to worry, though, Dave. Best to do what the Word of God says is our antidote to anxiety, and that's in Philippians 4:6. And it says, brothers and sisters, have no anxiety at all, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving. You just make your requests known to God. And then the peace that surpasses understanding, it's going to guard your heart. It's going to guard your mind. And then it goes on to tell you what you're supposed to be thinking about, because we got to think about what we're thinking about. Whatever's true. Whatever's honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, lovely, and gracious. And if there's any excellence, and if there's anything worthy of praise, then think about that. Keep doing what you've learned, what you've received, and what you've heard me do. That's what Jesus is saying. Keep doing what I showed you, what I told you, what I taught you. Then, and only then, the peace of God that surpasses understanding is going to be with you. See, this thing about worry is it robs us of our peace. Because 98% of what we're worrying about never happens. I worry about I worry about the weather. I worry about driving. I tell you, I orchestrate my life based on worry. And then all of a sudden, what I get blindsided with is something that I didn't worry about. And more importantly, something I didn't pray about. See, it says the worry time is 9 p.m. to 3 a.m. I can tell you I fall asleep every night praying. And I sleep soundly. But when my wheels start spinning, I'm unsettled, I'm uncertain, I'm full of doubt and discouragement and despair. And Jesus is saying in this verse in Philippians, it's a command. It's not a suggestion, it's a command. He says, have no anxiety in everything. In everything, not some things, not many things, but everything. It's crazy advice we got to take under advisement. We got to apply it to our daily life. It says with prayer and petition, in gratitude. Because see, God is who he says. He does what he says he's going to do. And so why wouldn't we tell him what's up? Why wouldn't we tell him and silently submit to what we know he can do and will do? Why do we hold on to it? Why do we just keep talking and talking and talking instead of praying and praying and praying? Because he's telling us in return for giving him this burden, he's going to give us some peace. Do you understand how not fair that is? I'm going to give you a burden and you're going to give me something that surpasses what my mind could comprehend. See, we got to think about what we're thinking about. And if we're thinking about what he did, what he said, and what he taught, if our focal point is the cross, and we know as people of faith, the cross is a big fat plus sign. It's a positive thing in our life. And I saw the other day, Max Lucado had an image, and it said, the cross has I crossed out. Because it's not about you. It's about him. And when you get to share in the sufferings of Jesus, there's no need to worry because we know the end of the story. And worry does not take away today's trouble. It takes away today's peace. We got to have complete confidence in God, his power, his providence, his plan, and his purpose. See, we falsely believe and in turn worry. And when we do, we anticipate all the potential consequences. We make problems bigger than they are, but somehow we hide behind the fact that we're preparing. We're getting ready for what might happen. See, the reality is, the more we grow in faith, the more we're looking at Jesus, the more we start acting like Jesus, and we know that life becomes a balance of holding on and letting go. It's about knowing that when we give him in prayer, petition, and thanksgiving what it is that seems like such a burden, that he bears it in such a way that it changes our perspective. It does. See, prayer doesn't change things. Prayer changes the way we look at things. Because a day of worry is more exhausting than a week of work. Dave, this is why I can't get a job, because I am so busy worrying about other people's problems, how to pay my bills, if I'm going to lose my job, which I only have to come here once a week. I'm worried about the future. I'm worried about how to please everybody else. The reality is I just need to please Jesus, and more importantly, I just need to desire to please him and give my stuff over to him. Stuff that nobody wants, he's willing to take. And he's willing to give us double for our trouble. And that, my friends, is why I love Jesus. Thanks for journeying with Judy. We'll be back after the break to say goodbye. right, so we end this journey with Judy, mindful not of the addictions that we don't share or have in common, but the universal addiction that we all possess to some degree or another. And that's about how we don't choose to give our stuff to Jesus for a peace instead of a burden. It's about worrying about the stuff we can't control. And see, worrying is the interest you're paying on a debt. I don't know about you, but I don't have any extra dough to be paying any interest on a debt. Worrying is the interest paid on a debt that you may never owe. And who wants to do that, Dave? So this week, let's invest in the one who makes all things possible. Let's think about what's true, honorable, just, pure, lovely, and gracious. And while you're doing that, keep it hot, because you know you're not going to be doing what I just told you. Honest, open, and transparent. Peace out.